Welcome to the third video in this Responses API tutorial series. In the previous videos, we had a look at some of the fundamentals of using the SDK by sending messages and images to our models. But in this video, I want to focus on a very important concept called conversation state. This is important whether you're building chatbots or AI agents. And this is how your application is able to recall messages from your past conversations. So we could provide it with some important information, and during the course of our conversation, our agent will be able to recall that information. This is going to be a super fun tutorial as we will convert this basic code into an actual chatbot. And then I'll show you the old or traditional way of dealing with memory. And then I'll show you how the Responses API greatly simplifies this implementation. So we're starting off with some very basic boilerplate here. And at this stage, this should seem very familiar to you. Now, let's convert this into an actual chatbot, which means we can have a back and forth conversation with our AI model, instead of just sending a single message and printing out the response. So let's create a new function called chat loop. And then in this function, we simply want to run this chat in a loop until it's terminated by the user. So let's say while true, we then want to do a few things. First, we want to get the user's input from the terminal. So we can do that by creating a new variable called user input, which is equal to input, which is a built-in function in Python. And let's simply prefix this with the text u. Now we want to give the user some ability to exit out of this conversation by entering certain keywords like bye or quit or exit. So let's add a simple if statement to say if the user input, and let's just force it to lowercase, is in this list of values. So let's just add a few like exit, maybe bye, and let's add one more like quit. So if the user's input is one of these words, we'll simply print the text goodbye, and we can break out of this loop. Cool. So if the user's input wasn't one of these exit words, then we can create this response. So I'm simply going to cut this code and move it into this while statement, like so. And let's just clean up the formatting a bit. So it should look something like this. Also, I'm going to remove this input messages. I'm also going to remove this print statement at the bottom, because all we have to do to simplify this is to pass in the value of user underscore input. And I think this needs to be indented even more. Cool. Now that we have a response, we can simply write it out back to the terminal. So we can print the response, and let's say print, it's prefixes with the word bot, followed by response.output text. Okay, so we now have the simple loop. All we have to do is call it. So at the bottom of the file, let's say if name equals main, then simply call the chat loop function, like so. Right, let's try this in the terminal. So let's open up the terminal. Let's run lesson 3. Now it's saying you. Okay, let's send hello. And we get our response back from our bot, and it's now waiting for our next message. So let's say how are you? And we're getting this response. Cool, we now have a chatbot. And of course, we can exit this at any time by typing exit, bye, or quit. Now, there is an issue with this chatbot. It actually doesn't have any conversational memory. And I can demonstrate that by saying, my name is Leon, and the agent will say, hi, nice to meet you. And the agent says, hi, nice to meet you, Leon, how can I assist you? But watch what happens when I ask it, what is my name? And although we're in the same conversation still, it can't recall any information provided in the previous messages. And this is where the concept of interactive state or conversational state comes from. It's the ability to record the conversation history and then pass that back into the agent. Now, the Responses API greatly simplified this process, and I promise you we will look at it in a few minutes. But I think it's important to understand how this was done historically, and it will give you a new appreciation of how much this Responses API simplified this. What you'd have to do previously is create some variable or some list that contains all the conversation messages. Initially, when we start the loop, this list will be blank, And then in our loop, we will retrieve the user message from the terminal. We'll then check if we have to exit. And if we continue, what we do is append this message to our history list. So we will call history.append, and then we'll add this dictionary with two properties. We've got role, and because this is a user message, we'll use user role. And then the second key is content with a value of user input. Great, so now we've got one message in our history, and it's this history list that will pass instead of the user input. What we can do now is store the response from this assistant into the history as well. So let's call history.append. Again, we'll pass in this dictionary with a key value of role, and the value is assistant, representing the AI message. And for the second key, we'll pass in content with a value of response.output text. Alright, so what we can do now is start up this script again. Let's say, my name is Leon. Nice to meet you, Leon. How can I assist you? And let's ask it, what is my name? And look at that. Now it remembered our name. OpenAI realized that this is actually such a common pattern that it's now baked all of this into the API itself. So what I can do is delete this code where we append the assistant message. We can also delete the code where we append the user message. And let's also remove this history list, because we no longer have to manually keep track of this conversation. Let's change the input back to the user input. And now let's add another parameter to this create method. This is called the previous response ID. I'll simply pass in a variable, which we haven't created yet, called current response ID. So let's simply copy this, and at the top of the loop, let's create this variable, and initially it won't have a value, so we'll just set it to none. In fact, let me show you something. Let's print this response object, just for a second. Let's run this in the terminal. So let's just say hello, and let's have a look at this response object. In this object, we have this unique ID. And each time we send a message, we will receive a different ID back. So you can see this one ends with F831. Let's send another message. And now we can see this one ends with 5BB2. So these messages are all seen as independent messages, and they're not related to each other. So what we can do instead is tell the API that all of these messages relate to the same conversation. And we can do that by passing in the same response ID with each one of these calls. So initially the response ID will be initial, but then after we receive a response, we want to set our current response ID equal to response.id. And that's seriously all we have to do. No dealing with lists, no appending values, nothing. Let's run the script. And let's say hello, and let's say my dog's name is Ruby, and it's saying what a lovely name, what kind of dog is Ruby. Let's say American Pit Bull. Awesome. So now let's ask it, what is my dog's name and breed? And our agent was able to recall that the dog's name is Ruby and that she's an American Pit Bull. How awesome is that? We didn't have to deal with lists. All we had to do was pass in this response ID, and that's it. Of course, the previous method is still applicable if you are first retrieving the conversations from a database and loading it into your application for the first time. So in that instance, you might want to go with some sort of hybrid approach. This means you could retrieve the conversation history from your database, create a list, send the initial request to the agent, and there on out, simply pass the previous response ID. In the next video, we'll learn how to work with structured data using the Responses API. See you then.